Good morning, everybody. Happy Friday. It is 10:30, last video of the week. A lot to unpack, as I'm sure a lot of you have had an eventful week in the market. So let's start it off as we always do. Let's get a look of the backdrop of the market. Start with the QQQs because the NASDAQ is probably the most important when it comes to indexes. So let's talk about a little bit what happened. We had a major move upwards last week. We were about 7% over the 50 here. And sure enough, we got clobbered down. Many reasons why the market sold off. I'm not going to go into specifics of the reason why, but just know the market sold so that we have to understand that. We lost the 5 and we lost the 21. And now today, this morning, we are down 1%. As you can see from my chart here, the 50 is 601. Sorry, it moves with it, but as you can see, it's 601. We are at 604. Vital that the market holds this area and bounces. So this is where understanding the shifting and the moving of the market. My thesis has not changed. I think the market is going up. However, I'm a swing trader. It is the way I invest and the way I trade, and I always manage risk. And that is on the forefront of my mind at all times. And if at any point uh, the stock market loses averages and falls below certain support levels, I quickly turn and I will exit out of positions accordingly. And my thesis can change. The reason I do that is because you have to respect the selling. You never know how low the market can go and how high it can go. The way I look at things is very simplistic. If this loses it, I sell a lot. Actually, yesterday I sold a lot. Um, it is like insurance to me. Could I be wrong? Certainly. Most people will, and sometimes in many cases, wrong. But it's about risk management, right? When it recovers again, I might be buying 2-3% higher. I don't really care. It's like insurance to me. I'll pay the 2-3% not to lose 20% on the downside. A lot of people get caught up, but like, oh, you could be buying for a more expensive price. Yes, in many cases you could. Or your stocks can fall 15-20% and become one of these people, as we know as bag holders, for years. Diamond hands, as they want to call it. That is no strategy. That is not the way to invest, and that is not the way to trade. So let's also differentiate something. Investing and trading, two different things. I talked to a friend of mine this morning driving to the office, and I told him about the importance of how I personally improved my trading many years ago. And that was more of an emotional standpoint. And what I did years and years ago was I created my long-term account, or my IRA in some cases, and I have my trading account. Two different perspectives, two different ways I look at things, and it helps me stay emotionally balanced in between the ears. That is something I suggest for everybody. Have your IRA or your long-term account where your thesis matters to you, that you're willing to live through drawdowns of stocks that could go down. And I'm going to touch on that today as an example open. But your thesis and your belief is years from now or months from now, it's going higher. Then you have your trading account where you stick to your rules, you stick to your percent losses, you set your stop losses, and you will come out on top. If you stick to your rules, I can assure you of that, you'll come out on top. So, all right, now that we got that out of the way, listen, we've had 7 months straight up from capitulation here. So, guys, it's been a good year. In the event, for me, one of the reasons I sell and I go and I go towards yellow from green is because I don't want to give back. I know I've had a great year this year, like many people, and we want to preserve capital. I mean, it's about risk management and capital preservation. The setups will be there one day again. You don't have to force or rush anything. You can always be a position in cash and wait for the setup. All right. Now that we got that a little bit out of the way, we'll do what we always do. Bitcoin still looks like shit, in my opinion, at the moment. I see nothing here that makes me feel like Bitcoin is going up in the short term. Long term, Bitcoin is going up. So, again, differentiating a trade from an investment, I dollar cost average into Bitcoin every single day. Every single day I buy Bitcoin, but it's preset, it's a small amount, drip, 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 drip. It's the way I do it. I do trade it when I see a setup. I do trade it through IBIT or Bitcoin. And then, as you know, I buy BTCI for more so the residual income, the monthly income. I love receiving uh, income off of capital, but this chart looks absolutely dog shit. So if you're buying this for a trade, good luck. If you're buying this because you like the income and you think it's going higher over time, like me, okay. All right. I'm going to jump into gold real quick. Gold's still there, kind of having its own little inflection point here. We want to see it hold that 3,900 at no lower low. If it does not make that and it starts to make a higher high and it breaks above that 20, that would be a good thing. Right now, I'm not interested in gold. Okay. All right, so we got everything out of the way. Let's talk about what we have here. We still have a government shutdown because politicians are fucking ridiculous. So excuse my language. I was told not to curse as much. So we have a government shutdown. Politicians, no matter what side of whatever, who cares? They can't get their shit together. And I just cursed again. Sorry. So that is causing ripple effects in the market in many regards. As an example, I think American Airlines canceled like 200 flights this morning. The airports are starting to become very thin with labor. I won't dive into it, but it's becoming a little ridiculous. It's the longest government shutdown in American history. And it stands to reason that this is going to have an effect on the economy, no doubt. I hope they can get it together, and I hope we can get this cleared up for a multitude of reasons. As you can see, all of this information was supposed to come out today. Actual zero. We've got nothing. We've got nada because we're in a government shutdown, so we don't truly know anything. We're shooting from the hip. Yesterday, there was data that came out. Whatever. We don't know. We don't really know. Okay. So yesterday we had a very weak close. I personally sold some positions that just were not, either I was in some green and I just didn't feel great about them, or they lost major support averages. And because of that, I said I'm going to lighten up. And I did just that yesterday. I mentioned on my last video on Wednesday, I was going to take some shorts. I did take some shorts, and that has worked in my favor. As I always say to everybody on this channel, you don't have to only make money on the long side. You can make money on the short side, and I'm here to educate and teach that, and hopefully you guys can make money when the market's going down. You don't have to always make money when the market's going up. So let's get into a couple stocks. Let's go into earnings. What did we have this morning? All right, let's start with the good trades because I want to start on a positive foot. I got into Lilly. I got into Lilly on the earnings gap the day after, so that was here. And this has been a great trade. I called this one out. This has worked well. Down today 2%. I mean, it's bound to be down. I mean, it had like 6 trading sessions in a row up. I think this is actionable if it could recover the 5. The 5 would be your action point, 916, which it's hovering. I'd love to see it close right around here. You could potentially take that as a trade at the end of the day. This is not financial advice. This is for educational purposes only. But if it finishes above that area, that would be potentially an activation point of you being able to enter a trade if you feel that you'd like to do that. Also, on the aspect of an investment, I mean, I think Lilly's a great company. I happen to own this in my IRA. I have for 5 years. So if you're looking to own it, you can always own it in your IRA. Okay. So Lilly's worked out. There's not much that has worked. I'm going to go IONQ because I mentioned this on Wednesday that I would look to short this. I sure as shit did on Wednesday. Yeah, I mean, I shorted this. When did I short this? I shorted this Wednesday, popped up yesterday, and boom, to the downside at the end of the day and downside today. That's worked out for me. I'm in the green here. I think this is a stock that you could look at every time it comes back up. I think it's going to get denied now from support averages. You're going to wait for the days that it pops, that it makes you think that it's going higher. It's probably not. This is a company with no earnings, quantum computing stock. I think this is the froth in the market, and I hope to see these companies like IONQ and Rigetti. I hope to see them get pushed out. That would mean a healthy market. I am in an active short here. I'm in the positive right now, 8% today. So I think you'd be chasing this to short it down further. However, below all major moving averages. So if you wanted to take some options and you would buy puts potentially with the $50 strike price, that could potentially pay. I'm not going to advocate for that because if you don't know options, I would tell you not to. I'm in a very traditional short here. I'm not in an options chain short. So that's where I'm at here. I can teach that for those of you that have interest in learning both options and shorting. Send me a message on YouTube, send me a message, and I will put together a video specifically for education reasons for that. All right. That takes care of my active short. Uh, and that is the only active short at the moment, though I have a ton on my list. Rigetti would be one that you can potentially look at. This is another one. I want to see it pop back up and I want to short it below the 50. My goodness, this is going to set up fantastic. Mark my words, this stock in a couple of months will be 15, 20 bucks. I hope I'm on record for saying that. I think I'm going to be right. These will be 15, 20 bucks. All right. So we got through that. We got through that. Bloom Energy is a stock that I got into. And it held up yesterday. And so let me explain something to you. The days that the market has these nasty sell-offs like yesterday, you want to see where your stocks find support, so to say. You want to see if they bounce at major moving averages. This one yesterday did really good. Okay. This was yesterday. It actually did great. Today, though, losing it, it might have a date with the 21 here. 117, I think that would be potentially an entry. I would not be buying this right here, only unless if it could carve out a low. The low of the day is 123. If it could carve out a low and potentially move upwards and get near that 5, which is 135. Look, I think this is more of an investment for me. I think I mentioned this to you guys. I have a wider stop loss. My stop loss here is 12% as opposed to my standard 5 or 6. I am green on this stock, not by much anymore because it's down 7% today. But I happen to think there's a big need for this. But make no mistake, I think my stop loss correlates here. I think I'm right here or somewhere around there. If it loses that, I'm out. I mean, I don't want to take a trip down here. I could always get back in. I don't want to take a trip down here. So there's that. All right, AMD, I think we need to discuss this. Oof. I talked about going into earnings. We're on, I think it was Tuesday. So I sold 35% of all my shares on Tuesday before the close. I got a little emotional, admittedly, and I wanted to have a little bit more skin in the game. I thought that was a little bit of a knee-jerk reaction from me. I was in a text with a bunch of people. I said, I'm going to take some calls. I'm going to do a 255 strike going out till next Friday. Very uncharacteristic of me. So I sold 35%. I got into those calls. I'm like, let's do it, rock and roll. So it was red in after hours on Tuesday. The earnings were amazing, just absolutely great earning report. I think I got like kind of the stimulus bailout package. When the morning of it popped up quite a bit, way beyond my strike. I sold my calls. I was in the green. I was pumped. And then the following day, which was yesterday, it lost to 21 and it just cratered. And there were rumors that their AI was overblown. There was a bunch of talk. I don't know. So I got a little bit concerned. I'm still concerned. I hold my position, my original 70, and then I just don't know. I'm in an inflection point myself today where I am going to use more technicals, but I could tell you though that this is a long way to go to the 50. That's 199, and I don't really want to hold through that. Now, I do have this in my IRA as well. So I have a trading of 70%. I've got my IRA. There's a potential I sell this entire position today. There's a potential of that. I might sell my position and leave my IRA. So we'll see how that goes. I can't tell you what to do. It's a difference for me. I've been buying this since here. Having my IRA position does not emotionally detach me from the stock, but this has been my best trade of the year. It's made me a lot of money. I was fortunate enough to sell 30% basically at the high, which in hindsight I should have sold all of it, but I'm never that, no one's that good. Um, I don't want to give gains back. I could always find myself back in. So I want to see how this close goes today. If I see it cratering towards the end of the day, there's a potential I sell that. Okay. Bros, yeah, I got bros wrong. Hand up, just a stock that is just not in favor by Wall Street. It's crazy. They had earnings 2 days ago. Earnings were phenomenal, just absolutely gangbuster earnings in every sense of the word. And it went down. So I got stopped out yesterday. And unfortunately, I thought it would close green yesterday. I was on record saying that I thought it was going to be green. It did not, but I got stopped out. And there you have it. I don't own it. I only own it in my my IRA, because I do think this is long term for me. But this is probably the third time I got bros wrong. I'm enough to admit it. If I've got great trades, this was not a great trade. So I'm stopped out, and I did take a 5% haircut on that. So yeah, I mean, it's the way the cookie crumbles. Palantir. Uh, Shit. Let's dive into this. All right, so Palantir, you guys know I mentioned I sold 30% of my shares going into earnings. That turned out to be a great move. Wish I would have sold it all. But I sold 20% yesterday before the close. So I had okay, so I sold 15%. So I have 50% of my original trade in PLTW. So when I say Palantir, it's PLTW. If this doesn't recover today, this will also be adios, muchachos, for me. And I'll have to look for another entry. This has also been a very good trade for me this year, and I'm not interested in giving back gains. Technically, this looks like shit now. Just correlating it, I mean, this doesn't look good. I mean, there's no other way to slice it. I'm glad I sold some of it yesterday. I sold it at the end of the day when it sliced here. I kept the half position because I thought there could be a potential bounce. It doesn't look like it's happening, and if I don't get it above that 50 today to close, it's adios muchachos for me. All right. Okay, now let's jump into more stuff. Open. So this is one of my conviction investments where I say I think long term this is a $30 stock. Had earnings, you know, I listened to the whole earnings call. I spent some time last night really researching it, and I didn't think it was that bad. I think the new CEO that came from Shopify, he's got a big ship to right here. It's not going to be easy. Carvana, if you look at Carvana, had major, major drawdowns. Um, if your thesis is conviction, you believe it's going to turn around. They've got a lot of things going against them. The stock market isn't doing very good in this country right now. Interest rates aren't coming down fast enough, and they thrive off of that. However, I think they're going to be a benefactor of the next interest rate cut. I did buy shares this morning. It was down like 20% when it opened. It has since recovered 15%. So those shares that I did buy, I look like a rock star, but I'm not that much of a rock star because my position is down. My original trade, I was on record. I caught this, I sold this. That was my first trade. I did very well. I got back in again, and that has not been good. I'm probably down now over 10%. I don't have a stop loss on this. I don't advocate for that, but this is not a trade for me. This is truly an investment. The first part was a trade. I was very fortunate. I made a very good amount of money. I made over 80% on that first trade. And so that afforded me some luxury. As my thesis evolved, I went from a trade to an investment, and that's okay. You can be flexible. I mean, there's no reason you can't be flexible. So I'm flexible. It has climbed back. Wow. I mean, it has climbed back a lot. It opened at $5.33. It's almost a dollar. I mean, it has climbed back a lot. So I'm glad I bought this morning. I bought basically 10 minutes after the open. We'll see how this closes. My gut tells me this goes higher. I don't know. If you want me to tell you a setup, you know what? Not financial advice, but if I was saying something that could potentially set up for next week, this potentially could be one of them. And it would not surprise me to see this close green today. I would not be in the least bit surprised. Okay. Man, we've unpacked a lot of shit today. Um, what else do we have? Oh, my two trades. The new one I took this week was IMNM. I'm officially now down. I think I'm like down 1%. I bought it here. It's here. Lost at 21. I don't think this is not actionable. I think you got to watch this. I have a 7% stop loss, so 5% from here would mean I'm out. I think this is actionable, actually. I did quite a bit of research on them, and I feel good about the stock, though obviously their earnings were not phenomenal, but I think that's an actionable item. Lemonade, which was a major winner for me, I did sell it. I sold this yesterday. I had to lighten up. I had a great trade on that bar. I wasn't planning on it. I'm on record saying I wasn't planning on it. Well, when the market does what it does yesterday, I have to lighten up, and I want to have a bigger cash position so I could pounce on some stuff. And I think that's about it. I mean, it's a pretty light thing. I'm going to look at Iron. So, yes, I did sell this. I sold this yesterday, was the sale that I had. I got out. I did good. I think I made like 15% on the trade. I'm now turning bearish on this. So I'll wait till it pops up to the 5, and I probably will short this. So if that's a setup on a short, that would be a short setup for you guys next week. And I think that's about it. I mean, there's really else nothing to report back. I think that what you should take from this video is I think you should take from this video that it is okay to sit out for a couple of days and a couple of weeks. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. Um, there's also nothing wrong with what happened yesterday. That's part of the stock market. It doesn't go up every day. There's going to be days like that. If you don't think there's going to be days like that and you're not emotionally and mentally ready to handle that, maybe you shouldn't do this. Maybe you should just buy indexes like QQQ and just let it be for years and years because if you don't have the emotion to set it aside, you're going to go through drawdowns. Yeah, so the NASDAQ I'm going to conclude this by saying it's down 1.5. The selling is pretty relentless. The S&P is down. The Dow is down. The Russell's down. Yeah, it doesn't look very healthy, to be honest with you. There's going to be some opportunities to present themselves on some shorts. I think I laid out some shorts. And my IONQ short is looking phenomenal. I might close that out for a quick trade and then look to get back in it. With shorts, you got to be a little bit quicker. If you're not quick, you could get pummeled. All right, I think that's it, man. I hope everybody enjoys the weekend. Don't overreact. It's okay. It's going to be fine. And if you're discouraged by what happened yesterday, that's par for the course. The market will humble you. Don't ever get too hot and excited when the market's going up, and don't get too cold and discouraged. Opportunities present themselves. All right, man. Everybody have a great weekend. Don't be a putz.